Hey, Future Redman here. Past me was a bit of a putz. He managed to record an entire 10-minute long video getting the girl's name wrong every time. Seriously, I recorded all the audio calling her Sedona Price, hit the stop button and thought, is her name Price or Prince? Turns out it's Sedona Prince. I just wanted to make that clear before we get into this. I wasn't going to re-record all that stuff. She's not worth that much effort, frankly. None of this is. I just thought I'd mention. But that ought to keep her humble moving forward. She can trend for 2.5 days on Twitter, and I still don't have her name right. Just wanted to clear that up before we start here. Thanks, enjoy the video. Hey everybody, it's the Redman again, and Western civilization has failed our daughters for at least a generation, probably more like 2. It's been minor news, at least it caused a stir on Twitter and in the sports world about Sedona Price, a basketball player for the University of Oregon, kvetching and whining that the women's basketball championship wasn't supplied with the same level of weightlifting facilities as the men's basketball championship. And she's, of course, smugly whining, oh my god, y'all gotta do better on TikTok and Twitter because she is a spoiled brat. And women's basketball players and deranged feminists trying to make normal people care about women's basketball when they just absolutely do not care about women's basketball is nothing new. But I wasn't planning on doing a whole rant about this initially because it's just tiring at this point. I don't like, oh, women's basketball players want to be taken seriously. That's nice. I'm going to go do literally anything else with my time. But a thought occurred to me, and I started to get very angry about this entire situation. See, the thought is that I played rugby in college, and, you know, we did not get the same facilities as, say, the New Zealand All Blacks. We didn't even get a locker room. We showed up in our shorts, put on our shoes and jerseys on the side of the field, and played on a slight incline. It was actually kind of neat. Like, if we ever had the option after the coin toss, we would choose to go uphill in the first half so that we could spend all second half running downhill. But this wasn't just goofball schmuck rugby. This was full tilt playing other colleges' rugby just on whatever field we could find. And despite this almost laughable situation we're in, playing, like, we played one team, we went to them, but we were playing like on an old cow pasture, basically. Like, that's the level of dink ass we were putting up with. And nobody really complained about this. We were playing rugby. We actually, we liked playing rugby. We liked being stronger and faster and running into each other and giving ourselves brain injuries because we had nothing better to do on a Saturday afternoon. Sedona Price, on the other hand, doesn't give a screaming shit about basketball. She just wants attention. She sees, the boys have toys that she doesn't. She's just going to stomp her feet and demand them. And the NCAA, like every terrible parent, just immediately acquiesced. Oh, we'll send you all these weights. I've seen men's basketball players. They don't lift an awful lot. I can't imagine how little women's basketball players use a weight room in the first place. It's just what really chaps my ass is the ungodly entitlement of this fucking ugly sow to come up and bitch and moan that she deserves the same thing the men do. The men are actually good at basketball. Women's basketball players are the single most incompetent people in the human species. I don't know what it is about basketball in particular that women are just uniquely wretched at. Like, you watch women's golf, you can see them, making putts, chipping in, sticking pins. Sure, they're playing a 6,500-yard golf course, but they actually seem to have golf skills. You watch women's basketballs, you've never seen so many air balls and missed layups. It's pathetic. And possibly partly because of that, nobody watches women's basketball, so they don't make any money. All women's basketball is entirely subsidized. It rides on the coattails of men's basketball. The WNBA loses millions, just pissing away money hand over fist every year. Women's collegiate basketball, no different. And I looked it up, the men's basketball tournament has like a TV contract of $860 million or something silly. That's how much revenue the men's tournament generates every year. The women's, about $40 million. And that's in revenue. That's
just revenue for the tournament, not the cost of, all the different basketball programs throughout the country. The point is, men's basketball actually makes money. Women's basketball is subsidized by the money men make. So this cretin has absolutely no place to expect just God's bounty rained down upon her for showing up to play basketball. There are rec leagues all across the country with men who, pay to play basketball and pay for their weightlifting or access to weightlifting facilities or to buy their own weights, because there's not thousands of people lining up to watch them lift weights or play basketball. Just like no one wants to watch the Oregon Lady Quackers, or whatever the hell they're called, play basketball. This is just an ungodly, entitled, spoiled brat complaining that she doesn't have things other people have, because an entire generation, possibly two, were raised by nothing but single mothers in government schools to believe that just because they showed up with a vagina, they deserve a gold star. Only the gold star costs about $14 million a year. It's absolutely infuriating to see this shit as somebody who actually likes sports and just plays sports for, the fun of it, the hell of it. But what can really be done for it? The whole NCAA is just a government cartel, basically, and the agenda is women are equal to men, even though we can visibly see in every instance that is absolutely not the case. Like, I get equal rights under the law. Perfectly fair. Fine. I would settle for nothing less, but in sports, women are slower, weaker, more fragile, clumsier. Just, if there's an athletic attribute, women are worse at it. And it's not that I have a problem with women's sports. If women want to play sports, that's great. I think I've brought it up before that the average woman in this country is fatter than hell. But I've known a lot of women's athletes and even some women's golfers, as separate and distinct from athletes. None of them were fat. They're like playing sports. They're kind of in shape, which is great. But like I say, there are men playing rec level sports that don't expect to just have everything handed to them for the sake of them showing up. It's not that women shouldn't play sports, it's that women shouldn't expect to just have the world handed to them basically for just existing in whatever space they exist in. If you want to play basketball, great, go play basketball. If you want to play softball, fine. Just stop expecting everybody to hand you, full scholarships. This spoiled bitch gets a full scholarship to play basketball when pretty much any competent rec level team on the men's side would run them off the court. Like, JV high school teams would smoke these girls. They are terrible. They do not, frankly, deserve shit for playing basketball. They deserve all they get from or should get from basketball is the benefits that come from merely playing basketball. Good heart health, some coordination, some fun in doing it, but that's it. They don't deserve money. They don't deserve scholarships. They don't deserve weights. They don't deserve a single goddamn screaming thing. Not them, not any other women's basketball player in college, or the WNBA, or Earth as a whole. I don't know how these spoiled brats are supposed to function when they graduate and have to get a real job. Although this one probably angling for like some social media activist with woke corporate sponsors, and God save me. And there's really not much that can be done for it, because like I said, this is a government-run cartel, government's protected organizations. There's no market forces. It's not like boycotting the women's tournament is gonna make a damn bit of difference one way or the other. Nobody watches it to start with. All you can do is maybe raise your daughters to have some sense, so at least the next generation of women are not such insipid Olympic-level ass clowns. That'd be a treat, wouldn't it? Sadly, I don't see that happening for a bunch of other reasons that are well beyond the scope of a video whining about what, should be sports, but has mostly been whining about how the kids these days are just the worst. Especially the women. And you might think I'm being harsh on Miss Price in particular, but I don't know if you've seen the video of her, quote, calling out the NCAA over this. she comes off as just the smuggest bitch there ever was, and there is absolutely no reason for her to have this high of an opinion of herself. I promise you. Like, her being this up her own ass and thinking she deserves everything that the men have just handed to her is like me smugly calling out Michael Jordan and saying that I deserve a Hanes sponsorship too because, oh, I played rec league one time. I can hit a layup too, Michael. Why don't I have everything you have? Because the gulf in basketball ability between myself and Michael Jordan is almost as big as the gulf in basketball ability between Sedona Price and literally any D1 men's player in the country. I wouldn't hesitate to say that, don't even limit it to basketball, probably 90% of male D1 athletes in any sport are better basketball players than Sedona Price. But I guess that misses the greater point, which, like I said, is the ungodly entitlement just to think that because you show up, because you put on a basketball jersey, you just deserve the earth handed to you for no reason. Or for no reason other than that, not based on your ability, how much people are willing to pay to see you play basketball or anything. No, you just exist, therefore give me stuff. Fuck off. I can't stand this woman. I have no sympathy for her, no respect for her, just nothing for her. I hope her team loses, and I hope she never plays basketball ever again after college. And I hope I never, ever have to hear from her again. I'm going to leave it there before I get way too unglued. If you stuck around this long, thank you for watching. I'm the Red Man, and I'll see you again next time. Take care until then.